Alright, guys. Mad people asked me to react to this. Bro, I already know. Look, okay. Just right off the bat, I have to say this, bro. I'll give you guys some context. I remember one time I opened a Broken Ronin stream, right? And I kid you not. I'm not even joking. The first thing I heard was Hakari Slander. I'm not even joking, bro. As soon Bro, okay. What are you doing? I hate when that happens, man. Get out of here, man. Anyways, the first thing I saw was him responding to a comment that was slandering Hakari, and based on the comment, it seems like he was slandering Hakari before that, and that was just a response to that. Not a response, but like agreeing with them, and then he agreed again, right? The first thing I saw was Hakari slander, and then, I kid you not, I went a little bit back into the thing. I didn't see the context for the Hakari thing, but I went a little bit back into the stream as well because I missed the stream, and he was talking about the Yorami piercing blood thing, which he's been. Oh my gosh, you don't understand, chat. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Actually, I'll find it for you guys real quick. All right, I found it. You see what I'm saying, bro? I try to defend Yorami a little bit. Shibuya Yuji level feat, right? And the reason why I have to emphasize that is because I literally saw it. I'm not joking, bro. He said that he was going to push the Yorame piercing blood thing so hard because it's funny. He literally said that. He said, "Is that really what happened? No, not really, but I'm gonna do it because it's funny." And I know for sure he's gonna say that in this video. So I'm exposing myself to this. I guess this is like my training for rage bait. I know, like, bro, hold on. Actually, someone commented on my community post, and they were like, "Oh, you need to make a video on Hakari or something, bro." And they told me what Rona was saying in the video because again, I was avoiding it. Like I knew he was gonna lie. But they said they saying Hakari is slower and weaker than Maki, and Soul's katana negates Jackpots? What? They downplaying Jackpot and brings up clips of him letting. Yeah, so you see what I'm saying? This is okay. How far are we into this recording so far? 2 minutes? Oh damn, I haven't been yapping that much. Okay, yeah, 2 minutes into this recording. Oh my gosh, bro. I'm scared, bro. I like, bro. Okay, you know what? Let's guess what he's gonna say. Okay, he's gonna bring up the Charles thing. He's gonna say that base Hakari is very weak. He's gonna bring up the Kashimo thing. He's gonna say that Kashimo and Hakari are relative in Jackpot. He's gonna say something about Hakari's AP, and then he's gonna downplay Yorame. And then the biggest thing, which I feel like he might not do, but people do this, he's going to like downplay the reason why he's on the same level as the heavy hitters, right? He's going to make sure to emphasize that the reason why he's a heavy hitter in quotations is because of his RCT. I feel like he's gonna do that. Maybe he doesn't though, right? Maybe he doesn't stoop that low. But let's see.
Kinji Hakari and Maki Zenin. Two characters that, despite their relative standing as some of Gojo's strongest students, have never really had an opportunity to interact or even be directly compared within the confines of the manga. And in this video, I'd like to remedy this fact. Is the completed heavenly restriction of Maki Zenin enough to overcome the sorcerer said to surpass Yuta on a roll? Or will Akari's fever give Maki a second round of burns? Just as I always do with versus matchups like this, I'll be going over both characters' strength, speed, durability, and hacks.
Bro, I need that song, by the way. Chat. That song in the background, I need it. Someone tell me what that song is, bro. He's used it 2 times in a row now, and I'm over here trying to figure out what song that is. I don't know what song that is, bro. You guys can hear it, right?
All in order to determine over both.
Listen to this.
Within the confines, Kinji Hakari and Maki Zenin. Two characters that, despite their relative standing as some of Gojo's strongest students, have never really had
damn, I guess you guys
an
can't
opportunity
hear it,
to interact. Or
if you guys know what song that is, I need that for videos.
Said to surpass
I
on a
need that, bro. It really fits like a specific vibe. But let's continue.
He's fever. I'll be going over both characters.
Oh yeah, what I meant to say was like I don't care about Maki scaling. So, well, we'll
who
see
would
like
win
Hakari's scaling.
and why. Of the two characters, I'd argue that where exactly Hakari should be placed is a bit more ambiguous and hard to parse. So we'll go over the different interpretations for his power first. While in base, Hakari should be seen as a relative.
Hold on. What the hell is that? Hold on, chat. Hold on. Anyways.
Relatively competent grade 1 level sorcerer. However, the exact parameters of his strength, speed, and durability are pretty hard to determine due to his lack of extended fights against notable opponents in this form. We see that his cursed energy trait, reinforcement, and physical strength allows him to batter Yuji and send him flying, even being capable of hurting Yuji irrespective of the force he puts behind his swings. On the face of it, this is a pretty good showing, seeing as how Yuji's resilience is one of his highest stats at this point, but much like many of Hakari's potential high-end interpretations, there's context that needs to be considered. In this bout, Yuji makes it clear that he isn't aiming to fight back or even defend himself against Hakari. Merely
I wasn't expecting this one too, bro. Let's just see what he says.
Taking as much damage as possible to demonstrate his earnest nature, and even standing back up directly after taking an attack that Hakari thought would lay him out. Now, an interesting aspect of this back and forth is the emphasis on the fact that Yuji is not willing to defend himself, being considered unguarded by every party present. This obviously pertains to him physically not shielding himself, as we see that Yuji is quite literally taking all of these punches on the chin, but due to Yuji's constitution, surviving attacks of this level—
By the way, how is he able to use these clips, bro? Yo, I'm sorry, this is completely like irrelevant to the video, bro. If you guys watch my videos, you see how I have to edit like anime clips, bro. This guy, bro, I don't think Ronin has gotten copyrighted ever. I don't know how. He's so lucky. He's never been copyrighted, bro. I have to edit my videos in a certain way so I don't get copyrighted, and then I'm still getting copyrighted, bro. If you guys noticed, hold on. My freaking Mahito video is gone. Because it just got copyrighted this morning, bro. I've never seen Ronin ever suffer from that, ever. Bro, I literally just got back my Yuki versus Maki video. Oh, I got it back. Oh, crap. Yo, I finally got this video back, bro. I probably just got the email. Hold on, let me see, chat. Bro, I was waiting for that to come back this morning, bro. Let me see. Is it here? Yep. It's back. Yeah, I was waiting for that this morning, bro. And funnily enough, this came back this morning, and guess what? The Mahito's video is gone as well. So it just got replaced, right? I just got this back as well. Like, oh, you guys don't understand, bro. This is the most annoying part, and then Ronin is he's just untouched, bro. Anyways.
Even without guarding with cursed energy is also a possibility. I mean, we've seen him munch on attacks from grade 1 level sorcerers like Higuruma under similar circumstances, and to a Jujutsu sorcerer, I imagine that guarding oneself properly mainly involves guarding with Jujutsu. This isn't a concrete idea, just a possible interpretation, but regardless, this puts Hakari's base striking ability pretty solidly below Itadori's durability in combat. It's also implied that Hakari couldn't really have put him down like this if he wanted to, considering the anger he felt towards Yuji's lack of fever, and astonishment at the fact that Yuji withstood his blows with limited damage. We'll talk about his battle with Kashimo a bit later, but I think it's kind of ironic that Yuji escapes the scuffle with a similar amount of damage as Kashimo later in the manga. To further stamp this idea, everyone around seems to think that Yuji would be capable of guarding Hakari's attacks if he wanted to, which is congruent with the previous dodging and headbutt that took place, and might even be in line with the idea that Hakari doesn't outstrip this version of Yuji at all in his base form. In any case, this somewhat unimpressive base is reinforced in his fight.
Oh my gosh, bro. Okay, so he's about to talk about Charles. Also, Hakari was frying him before that. Hakari literally says that. He says he was frying him before that. He put it on the screen. Hold on. No, actually, no. He cropped it. Where is it? I think he cropped it. Well, okay, no. He put it on the screen. Yuji admits that he was fighting back. But he didn't put on the screen where Hakari says that I was frying him before he was acting like this. So, whatever. He's about to talk about Charles now. Let's see what he's going to say about this. This is going to be straight agenda, bro.
How powerful Charles is in a vacuum, and Hakari was holding back
shit.
RE2. is reinforced in his fight with Charles, at least depending on who you ask. I won't lay into Hakari too much here since we don't know how powerful Charles is in a vacuum, and Hakari was holding back for a sizable portion of the fight, but he did try a lot more in his domain,
Yeah,
and
he
low-key
did, right?
losing before hitting Jackpot isn't a stellar performance against a practically featless character. But let's be honest though.
What? Hold on, he just said that. He literally just said that. Wait, hold on, Chad. He just said that with no... Bro, he literally just said that. And people who don't read the manga are just going to accept that. What? Hakari tried harder? Guys, look at this. I gotta show you guys this. Hold on. I think people forget this. Hold on. I gotta show you guys this. Hold on. What? Hakari tried harder in his domain? What? His hands are back in his pockets. Guys. His hands are back in his pockets and he's just dodging everything. What? What do you mean? What do you mean he's trying harder in his domain? Oh my gosh. What? No. His hands are literally back in his pockets while he's dodging everything. And Hakari says, "You can't hit me." And then Hakari gets hit. What? He literally just said Hakari was trying harder and he didn't put any proof on the screen. He just said it. What?
Is in a vacuum, and Hakari was holding and low-key losing before hitting Jackpot.
Bro. This is just... Honestly, look, no. I can't really say too much about it, right? Because... Well, I always say this. Right? There's... oh, you know what? No, I have to react to the Maki stuff because I can lie about Maki stuff. I can just outright lie about Maki stuff as well. I could. So maybe we'll watch the entire thing. Wow, that's crazy, bro. He just said it. Bro, Hakari literally says, "Yo, bro, I use skill to grab a hold of my luck."
Isn't a we're talking about Hakari versus anybody in the story. What we mainly aim to talk about, what people mainly mean with that question, is what he's capable of and who he could beat when he's on a roll. As a result of this, discussing Jackpot Hakari makes things become quite a bit more interesting. Well, in Jackpot, Hakari is essentially immortal and incapable of running out of cursed energy due to his infinite supply in auto regen that surpasses Gojo and Sukuna in regards to reverse curse technique speed. Beyond this, we see that his stats and showings in combat increase pretty dramatically, performing significantly better against Charles and Kashimo while in Jackpot in comparison to his base showings. It's in this form that Yuta's "he's even stronger than me" sentiment matters the most. Now, Yuta versus Hakari in and of itself is a pretty contentious topic that I've gone into depth on in a video before, which you can check out after this. But generally, there are two sides to this debate. You either think that Yuta is lying or wrong, and Hakari doesn't necessarily scale above him based on this statement, or you just pretty solidly place Hakari above the Yuta that makes this claim. In all honesty though, it doesn't really matter either way, and I'll explain why. Regardless of this specific sentiment from Yuta, Hakari should be within the same tier of power as Akotsu when in Jackpot. Not only is he considered a heavy hitter alongside Yuta and
Okay,
Maki,
you know what? Hey, you see what I'm saying? Okay, you see, I knew Broken Ronin wasn't gonna say some BS like that. I knew he wasn't. There's people out there who are literally telling you, "Oh yeah, he's only here because of his RCT." I was like, you know what? I don't think Ronin is going to stoop that low. He didn't. Thank you. You know, bro, I gotta give him props, bro. I gotta give him props. Even though he does hate Hakari and he does like have an agenda against him, he doesn't say this BS. So respect, I gotta respect it for that.
But on numerous occasions, Yuta and Hakari are lumped in together as fighters on a similar playing field.
By the way,
If
this
you
is
want,
a durability
Hakari are
feat
lumped
right
in
here.
together as
By the way, people who say that Hakari
fighters on a
is more
similar
durable after the
playing
time skip.
field. If you want, you can just think of them as the Sukuna and Gojo of their respective tier. No matter where you fall on that debate, it's undeniable that they're of relative status and capabilities overall, despite the fact that one character may completely dominate over the other in certain arenas. Someone who thinks that Sukuna is stronger than Gojo probably think that Sukuna wins 9 times out of 10, and the same is true for people that believe in Gojo's victory. and yet they are still considered relatively even sorcerers of an even caliber. In this case, it's just the difference in matchup abilities that makes them so relative. Hakari can maintain full power for much longer than Yuta in theory. Yuta has a greater arsenal and higher attack potency showings, and no matter who would win a 1v1, the level of fighter they are is implied to be in the same general ballpark. This means that even if you take Yuta's statement about their power at face value, the degree to which Hakari outstrips Yuta in any capacity is limited to some level of relativity, and the fact that his immortality and repeatable jackpots are his main selling point reinforces this even further. There are statements from the narrator considering Yuta the point reinforce activity, and the fact that his immortality and repeatable jackpots are his main selling point reinforces this even further. There are statements from the narrator considering Yuta the strongest of the modern era, second only to Gojo, and while the unusual abilities aspect of the statement may trip some people up, it's very likely just describing a Kotsu existing as the height of supernatural abilities in the modern day, which is all that Jujutsu sorcery truly is. In short, whether you think Hakari beats Yuta or Yuta beats Hakari more often than not, the reason isn't likely to be based on the merits of raw power or mainly speed alone, but the fact that they're bad matchups for each other taking precedence. Speed-wise, this would make Hakari either slightly below or slightly above Yuta. In terms of striking power, things get a bit more ambiguous, and this is only because we actually see that Hakari doesn't possess crazy output even when battling against opponents of a similar caliber to him. In the Kashimo fight, for example.
Wait, hold on. Wait. He's saying what I said before, but in like a weird way. Is he? Is he just saying that like? Oh my gosh, bro. What? No, bro. I literally. That's what he just said. Wait, so. Wow, okay. He worded that like insanely so that like, you know what? Wow. Okay, you guys can let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. Cause he might have just said what I said, like the RCT thing. He might have just said that, but in like a way that doesn't make it seem like he's just saying, oh, the only reason why he's here is because of RCT. Okay, hold on. Hold on.
Despite landing clean blows on him consistently throughout their fight, Hakari actually doesn't do all that much damage, with Kashimo escaping with pretty minor wounds after it was all said and done. He should be capable of wearing down opponents through continuous battle, but he seems to lack the requisite firepower to finish things in one rush. This is also in line with his inability to kill Arame despite having an ability that circumvents much of the ice technique's danger. Now, is Hakari failing to basically one-shot or
I have a problem with the Kashimo thing, right? Obviously, I think people forget that. Okay, first off, Kashimo was the one landing the most blows during the fight. Okay, Kashimo kept shooting his lightning, and if he wasn't using his lightning, bro, that like, what power was he? You know what I'm saying? What power was he doing on Hakari for real, right? Hakari, literally, this is the only time when Hakari was actually going out. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 hits in 8 seconds. That's the only time Hakari was actually trying against Kashimo. And he didn't one-shot him in 8 seconds. We need to stop this BS with the Kashimo thing, okay? We need to absolutely stop it, bro. 8 seconds and 5 hits. These were the only showings of Jackpot Hakari going all out against Kashimo. Everything before that or after that, who gives a frick, bro? All right, the guy was not trying. The guy literally was he was obliterating Kashimo here. He was breaking him down, literally as he says, bro. He was beating him up for 8 seconds straight, bro. Only 8 seconds. All right, the entire Yuta fight was like, how long, bro? I don't even know how long, bro. It was more than 5 minutes. Okay, the entire like every other fight, bro. It's way too long. Against this guy, it was 8 seconds, bro. We need to stop this Kashimo thing. Now, the Urame thing, okay. I'll say, okay, sure, right? Because Urame has RCT. Urame should have good efficiency, you know. Okay, cool. But the Kashimo thing, let's stop, okay? Please.
Arame and Kashimo, or even beat them to a pulp with relative ease, the worst thing in the world or the greatest anti-feat? Not really. They're both pretty strong, but I just say this to say that his attack potency isn't his greatest asset, a sentiment largely consistent with his earliest base showings against Yuji. His durability is also pretty much a non-factor in this fight for a multitude of reasons, some that I'll get into when we talk about the possible events and outcomes of a battle like this, but for the most part, I think that Hakari gets around needing good durability feats because of his insane regeneration speed. Unless you sever his head, blow him up, or damage him just as Jackpot is ending, there aren't very many conventional ways to get rid of this guy once he's on a roll. Whether or not this will be enough to deal with Maki is something that we'll have to determine in a bit after going over her respective strength, speed, durability, and hacks.
This may be the last ad you ever see.
Do I actually want to watch the Maki part, or do I have to just like? I can, bro. Okay. No, I don't really care about the Maki part, bro. Right? But like, you know, if we could lie about like Hakari's, okay, I'm not gonna say. Okay, let me chill out. I'm not gonna say he's lying, but if we're going to like, or if we're going to not give it the full benefit of the doubt, bro, I could do the same with Maki, right? I could be here being like, oh yeah, Maki can't freaking blitz Dagon, right? Like, we could go over here. Well, no, Naobito was, by the way, right? Naobito was blitzing Dagon, and then Toji pulls up, and then like, we have like Dagon reacting to him right here, right? Reacting and putting up the defenses as Toji's like Toji's about to shoot an attack, and then Toji puts up his guard. I mean, Dagon puts up his guard and he cuts through it, and then Dagon gets stopped by Naobito, and he's insanely nerfed because he's got a whole bunch of damage done to him. Naobito stops him, and he's still able to block the attack that Toji hits him with, right? Like, I could say that, but I could say that, right? But the full context is that Toji continues to get faster. He's accelerating, bro. So this doesn't mean anything. But I could just put this on the screen and be like, oh, Toji and Dagon are relative. I could say that, right? What? I could say that. What kind of BS is that, dude? Come on. That's absolute BS. Right? But I can say that. And just like delete this from my memory, not put it on the screen. Just be like, no, Dagon was reacting. Yeah. Okay.
Scaling Maki.
Oh, I want to see the soul split katana thing that he was talking about. That the person in my comments was talking about.
Different factors. Ones that aren't necessarily limited to a basic difference in power and speed. While I do think that Maki is probably the overall more capable fighter physically, as I've tried to reiterate constantly throughout the video, Gege makes it a pretty staunch point to place these students on a similar plane of power. Discrepancies surrounding who's faster or stronger are things that I can and will discuss, but it's not what determines the victor alone. Nah. As all fights against Hakari do, what matters most to the outcome is if Hakari is as lucky as he thinks he is. As you can see, this fight can basically be split up into 3 different questions. 1. Can Hakari last long enough in base to roll a jackpot? 2. If Hakari does roll a jackpot, can Maki kill him during the 4 minutes?
You can't get a jackpot on Maki, bro. Like, unless he just changes his sure hit to like verbal, he can't. And that's just a matchup diff, bro. Like, you know what I mean, bro? Like, he's gonna have to fire in base, and that's just not freaking. It's not happening. It's just not happening. Like, plain and simply. So
11 seconds. 3. If Maki can't do that, can she defeat him in the gap between domains? The first question is one you have to ask because, well, let's be honest, Hakari's at his most vulnerable and weakest at the beginning of a fight. As seen with Kashimo, once he's already on a roll, stopping him is pretty difficult, or at least a bit more than it is usually. The probability and speed of his spins can increase, and he's even capable of healing intermittently while he fights within his domain. Based on his fight with Charles, however, we know that Hakari is pretty defeatable from the outset. Assuming that Hakari understands the gravity of Maki's presence from the jump and opens his domain.
Charles thing, bro. Stop with the Charles thing. Stop.
domain immediately. Whether or not he'd have enough time to become immortal within that domain is a pretty important question to answer. We know that this can take up to 30 rolls to successfully land on the high end, seeing as how he specifies never going over that number. But for the sake of argument, and the sake of, we'll say, positivity for Kinji Hakari, let's say it only takes 2 rolls, just like it did with Charles. If Maki is really, truly locked in, the fight ends right here. We already know that Hakari grows significantly more powerful while in Jackpot, and Maki at worst is relative to that version of the character with a blade that's capable of ignoring durability. In my opinion, the instant that Hakari opens his domain, she pretty much just ogies him and keeps it pushing. The train car doors probably wouldn't even be activated with enough haste to catch her slipping, and nothing else in this domain even gives him that much of a territorial advantage. Beyond this, Hakari actually has a greater problem, which is the question of his
wait, I just realized what he said. I wasn't paying attention, bro. She ogies him? Wait, does he think? Oh fuck, he thinks ogies like. I think no. Actually, he thinks Hakari gets like overwhelmingly stronger and faster in Jackpot. That's fair to think, but I really don't. I don't think it's that insane, bro. He just gets a whole bunch of more shit, right? Like, hold on. I always refer back to the fact that Urame couldn't kill him. What the frick? I always refer back to the fact that Urame couldn't kill him inside of his domain, right? And the fact that he took 0 damage, but also the fact that he fought Kashimo, right? Look, I always think about this, right? Because again, I always was thinking like, not always thinking. Gege wrote Hakari in a way that's like very consistent, right? He fought against Charles. He had the ability to he was violating Charles. He was even taking him seriously, honestly, right? Inside the domain, he wasn't even taking him seriously then. Even when Charles had 2 seconds of precog on him, he still wasn't taking him seriously, and he still couldn't hit him, even though he had future sight, right? And Hakari lets himself get hit even after he says, "Oh, you can't hit me," right? So obviously, like, if Hakari says you can't hit me, and we see multiple cases of that, we literally see that happen over and over again, right? We see Hakari say that you can't hit me, and then he gets hit. Obviously, it means that Hakari's intention was to get hit, right? And then he gets Jackpot right after, right? And then you think about it, and it's like, oh wait, it is consistent, because that's something that Hakari does all the freaking time, right? He's getting fried by Kashimo. He's trying to stall until he gets Jackpot, right? So he gets fried by him. Pseudo spins. He needs to use pseudo spins to get to reach mode, by the way. He needs to, right? By the way, Hakari didn't get blitzed by Kashimo, so why does he think Maki would blitz him? What? Wait, I just realized that. What? I just realized that. Even though Hakari wasn't trying as hard here. I'll get into that in a second. Hakari still did not get blitzed by Kashimo. He was fighting against him. So why would Hakari get ogied? Whatever. Anyways. Right? So Hakari's getting cooked and he regens. Right? Just like with Charles, right? He got cooked and then regens. Because he knows he's about to get it. He gets cooked again, regens. And then guess what? They spawn in right in front of each other and they continue fighting. And Hakari takes no damage. Because he doesn't have pseudo spins anymore and it's not going to heal him. So why the fuck would he take damage anyways? Right? I don't think base Hakari is that weak. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't take this seriously anymore. And then we have more examples, bro. We have freaking Hakari getting hit with the lightning. I won't say that he like purposely got hit with the lightning, but you saw him react to it. He literally reacted to the lightning, right? He reacted and dodged it to a certain extent, and then he hit him because he thought he was finished, right? Charles thought he was finished. Kashimo thought he was finished. Heals up. You know what I mean? Urame thought he was finished. Grabs her face and throws her down a building. Urame in the freaking domains. I'll still always talk about that. Urame literally blitzed Maki, bro. Oh, I could talk about that as well, bro. We could downplay Maki as well, bro. Urame literally blitzed Maki as Maki stares at her. Just stares at her right now. Just looking at her. As she's blowing air at the freaking she's blowing air with her hand out, staring at her, and got blitzed, right? And then Hakari's inside of his domain and he took 0 damage. And then Yorame uses attacks even stronger than that, saying that she's gonna go all out, and Hakari never gets put down, right? So like he has to have the speed to be, like there is also the fact that he was talking about how Hakari isn't really good in speed or strength or something like that. You could say strength, right, sir? Because all he has is hands, right? Like plain and simply, all he has is hands. So he's not gonna have the same output as like freaking Yuta's love beam, right? Or he doesn't have a Duraneg attack like Maki, right? He doesn't have that. But speed, why are we downplaying Hakari's speed? The guy was obliterating Kashimo, like absolutely obliterating him. Kashimo was like, oh my gosh, he's getting faster. And Kashimo never, ever adjusted to his speed. He literally got blitzed, and you could say it's a tempo change. He never adjusted to it. Never. He was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting cooked. And he continued getting cooked the entire time. If it was a tempo change, then Kajima would have been like, oh crap, he's getting faster. And then he would have started fighting relative. No, he never adjusted, right? I'm sorry, I didn't put it on the screen because, well, it's too much work. But there's also the fact that, like, you can see, first off, Kashimo knows his weakness, right? Kashimo knows his weakness, and he doesn't have RCT. So Yorame probably knows his weakness and tried to abuse that. You could see freaking ice on Hakari's shoulder, right? So obviously the intent was there, but Hakari was avoiding it. That's the entire point, because Hakari has the speed to be able to do that, right? Was this all? Did this all come from the Ogi thing? I just don't think she's gonna Ogi him, bro. People say that, but what is the proof for that, right? It's not the Charles thing, because we already know Hakari isn't on Charles' level. Charles is like complete fodder to Hakari. He had a 2-second advantage on him, and Hakari is still dodging him while having his hands in his pocket, right? Hold on, chat. Yeah, what was I saying? Something about Ogi. I don't think he gets Ogi'd, right? Just doesn't. That Charles thing, it's really like, again, out of context, yeah, that's freaking ridiculous, right? But when you really see it, like, when you really like think about it, you're like, okay, like, let's be for real here. And it's consistent. Like, Hakari literally does that so many times. Gets hit by something that he can easily avoid, right? You can oh my gosh, chat, actually, Hakari gets hit by Frost Calm. You can see him avoid, like, you can see him literally make sure it doesn't hit his head, because, again, like I've been saying, Hakari knows his weakness, and he has the speed, unless he's going against freaking Gojo and Sukuna, right? Unless he's going against Gojo and Sukuna, he can dodge and make sure he doesn't get freaking, like, his head sliced off, right? Like, let's be for real. Yorame shoots a freaking Frost Calm at him, and you can see him, like, look, you can see him making sure that, okay, this is not gonna hit my head. Okay, cool. And then like just freaking freeze, like just freaking grabs her face and throws her down the building, right? Again, I need to emphasize this a ton. Okay, Hakari fought Yorame inside of the domain. He fought her inside of the domain, and did it get hit once? Okay. So that's why when I see this, I'm like, are we freaking serious? Like, clearly Hakari let that happen, right? If Hakari didn't get hit once in his domain, right? Didn't get hit once. By the way, let me emphasize as well. People might say, oh yeah, maybe Yorame didn't use any named attacks. Yorame saw Hakari and used a named attack. I'm not even kidding. She saw Hakari and used it first. Look at this. She was the first one to start it. Ice formation. So she was the first one to shoot a named attack. Hakari doesn't use pseudo spins unless he's in increased probability modes, but you know, people could say, you know, yada yada, he was in increased probability. Okay, you know, that's neither here or there, right? We can argue all day about whether or not he used pseudo spins inside of his domain. The fact is, he still has to fight his opponent in pseudo spin, in breach mode. Okay, so the fact of the matter is, she saw all this and she was like, oh frick no, bro. Why don't I just freaking, like, you know what I'm saying? Why would she just stop attacking him? Right? She shot the attack, and he took 0 damage. And the reason I said this is because he doesn't lose any clothes. Every time he gets attacked here, though, he loses clothes, loses his arm, loses his side, loses his pants, and then when we come back in 252, his clothes are gone, bro. His clothes are gone once more. So like again, even if it's off screen, he's gonna continue losing clothes, right? But he doesn't lose clothes in base because he has the speed to go about it, right? Yeah, I could freaking rat out and be like, oh yeah, Hakari was dodging attacks that Maki got blitzed by. In base.
Domain's efficacy against Maki, period. While harmless, Hakari still does have a sure hit ability imbued within his domain, specifically the explanation of the rules of the game, so to speak. As is made clear in chapter 164, a necessary component of rule-based domains is that an explanation of said rules must be given, since unlike Higuruma, Hakari offloads that aspect of his barrier to the sure hit. He technically can't fulfill the basic prerequisite of his abilities against someone not targeted by domains like Maki. The fact that she also must consent to being trapped within a barrier adds to her ability to disrupt Hakari's normal flow of combat. In short, Hakari can't even start up his domain properly unless he verbally explains the rules to Maki, and she agrees to enter his domain in the first place. And by the nature of her fighting style, in the event that she enters Idle Death Gamble, it'd probably be to stab Hakari through the heart immediately and shatter the domain via damage dealing. By pure happenstance, this reasoning also answers the third important question posed in this analysis. If Maki is able to survive a round or two of Jackpot and learn the limits of Hakari's domain, she could simply shatter the new barrier created and strip him of his curse technique and ability to reopen it. Essentially, she can stop Jackpots from taking place consecutively or stop Hakari before he even gets ramped up. From these perspectives, Maki's victory in a typical setting is practically assured. Within the barrier, she'd be superior, and her heavenly restriction basically allows her to glitch out Hakari's pachinko machine, so he can't build up momentum. This being the case, however, might be pretty obvious, even to the biggest of Hakari fans.
Yeah.
Duh, Maki beats base Hakari. What we really want to know is...
What? Whoa, no. I'm talking about the freaking domain thing. Yeah, like, that's the reason why I haven't made Hakari versus Maki, bro. Like, she's a complete counter to him. She's literally not getting hit with the sure hit unless he freaking verbally says it. Unless he verbally says it out loud. He's not about to freaking, like, you know what I'm saying? It's just not gonna work, right? So, okay.
Who would win while Hakari's on a roll?
Is that Naoya?
During these 4 minutes and 11 seconds, could Maki find a way to kill an immortal? And, you know, well, physically at this point, at best, they'd be pretty comparable. I have my money personally on Maki being quicker and capable of landing more strikes due to her precog, multi-dimensional movement, just being able to jump off of air and in the sky, her greater showing, and the fact that she compares quite well to a stronger version of Yuta than the one that
Oh, come on! You see what I'm saying? What? Guys, he literally said earlier that, oh, regardless, they're on the same level. And and I must add, he put the, where is it? Yes, he put this on the screen. Is he serious right now? Oh my god. Bro, is he serious? Bro, this happens post time skip, by the way. What the? Oh, come on. Wait, what is she wait, what is he saying actually? Hold on.
Her greater showing, and the fact that she compares quite well to a stronger version of Yuta than the one that placed Hakari over.
What? Comparable to Yuta? How? Hold on, Chad, Chad, am I bugging, bro? Hold on.
Showing, and the fact that she compares quite well to a stronger version of Yuta than the one that placed Hakari over him. But the fight is
Where'd she get that from? Where'd he get that from, bro? I have a direct statement about what he just said, but he just said that.
Pretty even despite this fact. Like, I'm not even going to grandstand that Maki just runs up and piecing Hakari up. Where the gap starts developing the most is the difference in their overall attack potency and punching power. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat this for y'all. Hakari can't beat Maki up in 4 minutes and 11 seconds. It's just not happening. Even if Hakari was overwhelmingly faster, it just wouldn't be enough to defeat someone that's this durable. I could see his cursed energy trait hurting Maki in a similar way to it did Yuji, but beyond that, Hakari just hasn't shown me anything on the level of a cleave, 2 Sukuna black flashes, and Amp dismantles, all things that Maki has survived.
Hey.
I'll be honest, he hasn't shown me attack potency feats that are greater than Naoya's super speed attacks that were kind of hurting a super weak Maki. The damage he does to Kashimo just doesn't support it, and even if he had really gone to town and torn Kashimo limb from limb, unfortunately Kashimo doesn't really have durability feats of that caliber either. In stark contrast to this, Maki has the ignore durability blade. If she cuts Hakari, he's taking damage, and it's truly as simple as that. Some people may think that this brings the two to a stalemate. Maki could damage Hakari, but his speedy healing saves him. And while Maki doesn't heal extraordinarily fast, her durability
I don't think Hakari heals from that. Well, he doesn't need to, right? In Jackpot, he has infinite curse energy, so his soul has infinite curse energy. She could get through durability, right? But like the soul has infinite curse energy on it, so. But I don't think he heals from it.
Lose damage from accumulating in the first place. From here, we'd have to go and talk extensively about Maki's stamina feats and how a battle of attrition plays out. But that would be
rocks. I'm writing a paper on them. This is the last thing signed between me and Break, and I need.
Where you were wrong. Maki's Soul Split Katana is, in essence, not only the anti-durability sword, but the anti-immortal sword. Despite his subconscious healing, we have it on excellent information that Hakari would not be able to heal the damage that Soul Split Katana doles out. You see, in chapter 252, it's said by the narrator that one cannot order very aware of the awareness compromised to recover from the damage he takes over the course of this fight. Hakari fans may argue that he'd be an exception to this rule. Not only does his reverse curse technique run reflexively, but we've seen it counter toxins despite that requiring a greater finesse and competency. The problem with this rebuttal, however, is twofold. One, the narrator is not contradicted at any point in the story, nor is unique context provided within this statement. As a writer, Gege has never shied away from direct comparisons or even excluding certain characters within these narration boxes. So if his intention was to exclude Hakari and Jackpot from this fact, and except for Kinji Hakari, of course, would have sufficed. However, that information simply doesn't exist. Secondarily, the explanation of Jackpot's healing ability is that it's specifically a reflexive defense mechanism geared towards repairing his body and preventing it from breaking down. Toxins, while less direct and more complex than traditional physical strikes, do break down the body directly, meaning that it logically follows that his technique would extend to poisonous attacks. However, what isn't commented on is Jackpot's ability to maintain the soul structure. These two bits of information together basically spell out Hakari's eventual defeat, while his willingness to ignore pain and damage.
You know what? One thing I could say is that one thing I could say, right? Maybe I'll think of this in a second, but one thing you could say here, hold on. Damn, bro, I'm so bad at Shibuya chapters, bro. That was way off. Oh my gosh. Actually, no, it should be here. It should be here. You know, one thing I could say is that it could apply to Hakari. It could. You know what I'm saying? It hypothetically could. Right? Does it have to be the same for everyone? Considering our jujutsu techniques, you and I practically live in different worlds. So techniques dictate our worlds, right? So if, like, I said this in my Mahito video that's now copyrighted, funnily enough. I said in my Mahito video that Toji or Maki would like not be affected by Mahito's curse technique, right? Because they exist in a world where like their soul doesn't dictate their body. It just doesn't, right? Because Toji was in a body with zero soul, or in a body that didn't have his soul in it, and he still existed, and his body didn't change or anything. You know what I mean? And so that's how like techniques dictate worlds, right? And so for Hakari, I've always thought about this, right? I feel like I've said this in a video like 2 years ago, but I've thought about how binding vows work and how they might like work hand in hand with souls, right? Honestly, bro, it's like 50 minutes into this, bro. I can yap all I want, okay? Listen to my yap session right now, right? I've always thought about this, right? How binding vows work and how the soul works with it. There's a scene where Mahito is talking to Nanami, right? And then Nanami's like, I don't bring my personal emotions to work. And then Mahito's like, huh, you're such a shitty liar. Okay, that was the last chapter. Nope, I'm lying. It was in this chapter. So, I don't bring my personal feelings into work. And then Mahito says, what a terrible liar. Your soul is wavering. Right? So I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, so your soul is a, what's that word? Your soul is an indication. Your soul can indicate your lies or things like that, right? And another huge thing that goes into like what people say about how binding vows are bullshit and stuff like that. I'm gonna make a video on that. I've had the freaking, do I have the thumbnail for that? I do. I've had the thumbnail for that for like months, actually, maybe almost a year now, but it's not a real thumbnail. It's like it's not a real drawn thumbnail, but there's a scene everybody freaking hates when they say like binding vows are BS and stuff like that, and it's this chap. Nope, it's not this chapter. It's the next chapter. Sorry, chat. I'm a little bit washed. So there's this scene that everybody hates, and it's this scene right here. Is this scene right here where Sukuna's like, that boy is such a dumbass. That vow to not hurt anyone didn't include him. And it's like, okay, where the heck did he get this information? Well, it has to come from the soul, right? We're like, Yuji, first off, Yuji forgot about the binding vow. What forced him to do that, bro? It had to be something having to do with like something extraordinary. What the hell? I mean, I guess, right? Like I'm using it. I'll say supernatural, right? And like the fact that he himself had his own version of the binding vow, but Sukuna did as well, and it had to have come from there. Like it wasn't in his thoughts or anything. It was from his soul. That's what his soul said. His soul said that, right? And also a big thing is how binding vows actually work against you, right? How exactly do you know that you like freaking fail to uphold a binding vow, like what he was doing here? It's by, you would know because of your soul, right? Your soul would waver. If your soul knows exactly what the binding vow is and you didn't do it correctly, your soul will waver, right? Because your soul is the one that made this part of it, right? Yuji's soul is the one that made him exclude himself from the binding vow. Even though Sukuna was the one who literally said it out loud, by the way. It wasn't Yuji who said that. It was Sukuna, right? But Yuji's soul, not in his thoughts, but in his soul, he was like, okay, the binding vow, if I agree to it, would be to not include me, right? And so why this all goes back to Hakari is because his entire freaking domain is based off of a binding vow, right? He gets Jackpot because he fulfilled the binding vow of getting a jackpot. What the frick? Getting 3 consecutive numbers, right? Like 777, right? That's the binding vow, and he gets infinite curse energy. And so the curse energy is coming from where? His soul. And yeah, that's something I went into. I'll put some more research into it. I feel like it's definitely possible. I do think it's possible. But overall, I don't disagree that Maki beats Hakari because it's just a matchup diff. It really just is. Sadly, like Hakari just can't get a jackpot on her, bro, because she's literally exempt from domains, bro. It's as simple as that. So I'm not really mad at the fact that Maki can beat him, right? I never made Maki versus Hakari because of that. But what he said about Hakari, just straight lies, bro. Come on, bro. Come on. Like, bro, this is killing me right here, bro. The fact that this exists and that he just said, oh yeah, Yuta's comparable to Maki, a stronger Yuta, bro. What? And then like Yuta and Hakari both, like, he literally put it on the screen as well. Yuta and Hakari both referenced their training with Gojo, and they say that like they took similar damage from the exact same attack from Gojo, right? Like, so his durability is even higher as well. But the durability doesn't really matter to Maki though, so. Hold on, chat. Well, not really hold on. Why am I saying hold on? I don't really care. I said what? Why I say I don't really care, bro? Yeah. Yeah, I don't really disagree with this. Put a like on the video. Feel me? I don't really disagree. But the Maki stuff, like the Hakari stuff, bro, like let's chill out, okay? Let's absolutely chill out. For the people who got this far into the video, what are we? 50 minutes into it. Tomorrow I'm dropping Toji versus Disaster Curse Spirits, which I'm about to like record right now. Like I'm about to help my brother with homework, and then I'm gonna record that video. Then Thursday I have to think of a video for the Yuji Higuruma episode. I don't really have an idea at the moment. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Actually, hold on. They dropped the title, the episode titles. Hold on. Hold on. They dropped the episode title somewhere. What? What? Wait. Higuruma's backstory. The bathtub. What? Okay, next episode is literally nothing. Okay, chat. Okay. Okay, so basically, my idea for the Higuruma fight was that I was going to make who can beat the Higuruma allegations, right? It's going to be a funny video where I go over, like, different characters who definitely don't beat it, like Mahito or Sukuna. And I go about people, like, who have, you know, questionable things, like Yuji with the pachinko thing, or Hakari drinking underage, or, like, trying to give Yuji some liquor. You know what I mean, right? I don't know who's going to beat it, though. Takaba might beat it. Takaba might beat it, right? I might go with Takaba, bro. But yeah, that's gonna drop next week, I guess. I mean next week, I guess, because I just saw it. Actually, this week is Higuruma's backstory, so next week is the episode with Yuji's entire fight. So either I'm going to do that video. No, I'm not gonna do that video this week. I'm not gonna lie. That's probably impossible, right? Am I actually gonna be able to do that? I don't even have a thumbnail for that, so. Not really. I'll see what I'll do. And then Friday we got the One Piece review. Saturday we got the JJK review. And then Sunday, I'm finally dropping. Hold on. Oh yeah, I'm finally dropping that long ass hour-long video I was talking about. That thing is like, it's longer than the Big Mom video, so that's why it's like so overwhelming for me, right? It's like basically 2 times a 40-minute video. It's like 1 hour and 30 minutes, I'm pretty sure, bro. It's a very long freaking video. So, you know, it's gonna take a long time for me to edit that. So I'm finally dropping that on Sunday, and funnily enough, Sunday is March 1st. So, hey. Yeah, Sunday is March 1st, and I always, if you guys have noticed, I've dropped a long video to start off the month. And yeah, I feel like I want to get back into the groove of making videos. I've been slacking because I've been playing Fortnite all day. I'm not even joking. I'm like insanely good at Fortnite right now because I've just been playing that. And I told my friend, I was like, bro, it's funny, right? While I was on back then, right? I was playing with my little brother, right? Because he's the one who like grinds Fortnite now, right? But I carry him on Fortnite. And I kept telling him, like, oh my gosh, I suck at Fortnite. I suck at Fortnite so badly, right? Like, yes, the past, this is crazy to think that this was 10 days ago. So, like, the past 2 weeks, I've just been playing Fortnite. It's just been straight Fortnite for the past 2 weeks. And I haven't been doing anything else, right? But I've been telling my little brother, I was like, oh my gosh, I suck at Fortnite, bro. But I don't have time to play Fortnite for real because I do YouTube. And then I suddenly just dropped the YouTube stuff, right? And I just play Fortnite all day. And I'm insane at Fortnite right now. I'm, like, insanely good at Fortnite. Like, bro, look at this kill I got on this guy, bro. This is ridiculous, bro. Like, this was 10 days ago, by the way. So, like, imagine me basically, not yesterday, the day before yesterday, because I stopped playing. Look. That wasn't a good shot. That wasn't, like, a... But look at this. Look at this. Look what I did to him. I did this, boom, boom, bow, right? Boom, boom, right hand peek, bow. Like, oh my gosh, bro, I'm so good right now with Fortnite, but like, I haven't uploaded on YouTube. So I'm back to YouTube, bro. All right, I'm gonna be trash at Fortnite again, chat. All right, that's the bonding vow I have to make, bro. I have to make that bonding vow with myself to let go of Fortnite and become a YouTube sweat again. You know? Obviously another reason was because I was procrastinating this long ass video that I wanted to make. But yeah, let me stop yapping, bro. It's 55 minutes. What the heck? Yeah.